Hey YouTube. So just wanted to say that we are slowly kind of climbing around, coming in, making some positive changes in our lives. Peaceful rage. So our life can be peaceful, it can be chaotic. We are medical parents, we've been through a lot. Right from the beginning, there's been a lot of chaos. We are medical parents to a child who has SMA type 1, spinal muscular atrophy type 1, where the muscles aren't really feeding the protein, or where the protein isn't really feeding the muscles, or the muscles are eating away the protein. Sorry, it's been a lot. I've had a big day. And anyways, muscles waste away and they become floppy tone. Because they're not receiving the signal to the brain to say like, hey, like this is how we feed the protein to the muscles and this is how we work, right? So the muscles just keep eating the protein away and they waste away basically. So we have done our daughter's care for about over 15 years. And we had a son that had been born with a shunt. He had hydrocephalus and Williams syndrome and things. And I noticed he was coughing, pale, sweaty, cringing when he coughed. And I kept being told I'm a hypochondriac and that it's all in my head, and because of my older daughter and paranoid and all this stuff. And kept bringing him in because I'm like, look, he's sick, something's wrong, and he needs to be admitted. And they wouldn't admit him. And anyways, he was about 3 months old. He passed from a viral pneumonia that attacked his heart eventually. His dad brought him in too, and ignored red flags, red flags, red flags, and we were ignored and ignored and ignored. A lot of red flags with our daughter. I had to fight truthfully, tooth and nail, for a lot of things. Red flags that you bring up and everything, and it's a constant battle. Our recent ones are, can you guys keep, because I had suffered through cancer. It was stressful on our family. Went through 2 surgeries. I had a full hysterectomy. I had my thyroid removed, and cancer in the left lymph nodes removed, or some of my left lymph nodes removed for cancer spreading there, on and on. So after that, I had a brain bleed. And, your family already gets through all these surgeries and cancer and all this stuff. And then you have a brain bleed and you survive this. You have this in front of your child, and you get told at the hospital that, to stop crying, and you're being hypochondriac and a big baby and you can't tolerate pain. It's just a simple migraine, and go in for a CT scan, and you're being shipped to a different hospital because it's not a simple migraine. And then you're questioning, am I crazy? Can I not tolerate pain? And is this really a brain bleed? And anyway, so you go through that ordeal, and your family's going through a lot of financial struggles, as we have one person that's one income. And when this event happens, you are the person at home taking care of your medical child and your 2 other children and the dogs and the house and the bills, and well, the other one's out working. Then all of a sudden it stops. The financial struggles that you have start building up. We ended up starting to lose our home and go into foreclosure. From there, everything spiraled. Our stress on top of each other. You kept asking people before that, we need help. My wife is going to collapse. Like, she's exhausted. We need a plan. We need something. Like, nobody could help us. Nobody knew what to do. Eventually, I became suicidal, and it was just spiraling. Like, it was just like right to the edge, rock bottom. So I was in and out of the hospital a couple times. I went to one hospital for 3 weeks, and then I went to the other hospital for 30 days or 28 days or something, and in therapy and all that kind of stuff now. But you start losing your home, you lose your whole family, and they split you up, and of course we're fighting, yelling or whatever, and so they're like family violence, and start focusing solely on the family violence, but not what's causing the stress of what's happened to the structure of the family. So they start ripping you down, start throwing court orders in your face. They don't even try to say, okay, what can we do to help you or support you or make sure that your medical fragile child, who we've never taken care of, and nobody's ever taken care of this type at this age before, and now we are just taking this child without this knowledge. And so that's what they did. They took this child without the knowledge. And I was that child's extra lifeline. They've put my daughter at risk. She's drowned in her lungs twice. She's needed a chest tube in her right lung since they've taken her. She's bruised in her chest because they didn't know how to transfer her. They took her out of my home without even checking the suction machines to see if they're portable or non-portable, and they took the non-portable while transferring my child without double checking the machine and equipment. Anyways, I get this phone call. I keep thinking I should, call, or maybe I should just put some trust into these people in faith. Last week, my daughter dropped very low, and it is highly stated, email after email, meeting after meeting, court after court. Hang on, sorry guys, just a small interruption. So anyways, it has been stated time and time and time again. Our daughter has a DSAT. Now, a DSAT means your oxygen is dropping. Your levels are dropping below 90. Call the parents. Call the parents. Stated. Court. I don't know how loud I can be about this. I have been email after email, talking to meeting after meeting. This is almost 2 years. In the courtroom, their dad said to everybody, "Can you guarantee the safety of my daughter's breathing?" Not one person would answer that. And of course, at this point, we got a call last week that she dropped to 58 or 68%, something like that. Pretty low anyways. We're like, why did she drop low? And it's interesting because they said, right, they made it very clear that the nurse never called for help. Nobody screamed for help. Nobody, nothing. My daughter would be quite blue at this point. Alarms going off. But they were expressing very how much the staff from the other room heard the alarms and came running into the room to see what was going on. At this point, when my daughter's that blue, and I've seen nurses, especially ones that have worked with her, I've seen her slipping through, and I've seen them, they panic, and to a point you would understand, Anyway, something isn't matching. My daughter often says she's being left alone. I ask her. And I'm like, was this a case where she went on break? Because at first we were being told the LPN went on break. And then we were being told after that it was the RN that went on break. Okay. Anyway, no reason for her to be dropping that low. And it was due to human error, negligence, because there was a disconnection right where it should have been able to be visual. Obviously, they seen it. At this point, you would have an oximeter. So her oximeter, they expressed to another person, third party, that they have this set at 96%, which means my daughter at 58 or 68%, these alarms would have been going off. The oximeter, her vent, alarm, disconnection, plus her face, extremely blue. Why did she get to that point before? Why did nobody holler for help? Or for her to even be at that point if there was somebody beside her at the whole time. Especially with lights on. So it's been really important because we said we know what to do if she has a DSAT or anything like that, how to help her recover from all those things, which are really hugely important. And these people don't know that. So I walk in the next day, my daughter's going red and flushing in the face, and I kept saying to her, and her dad's like, oh, maybe she just got a suntan. And no, and I says, well, she seems like she's flushing. And he's like, well, she's got color in her face. And we were really questioning what was going on because she was seemed like she was struggling. So then we get the phone call later on after my visit and everything. Instead of being able to comfort my child and see whether she's okay and stuff, I get told after, all of this stuff. So then today we're sitting there, thinking, well, maybe I'm going to call. Well, I'll call. We'll go get a coffee. It's around 11, almost 11:30. Oh, we'll go get a coffee. I'll give them some benefit, and I'll give them a little bit of trust. And it's a beautiful day, and I'm enjoying it. And we're walking, and we've had a meeting about this. It's call mom and dad when she has a DSAT. Trust. She was in a nursing magazine, actually, and the big part in the front of this nursing magazine here in the city it says trust, in trust. And it has her hand on the cover. A nursing magazine that she was asked to be a part of. In trust. So I'm walking and we're talking, and our dad and I are trying to work on resolving our lives and try to find the things that we find positive that we can work on and grow with so that we can reunite our family together in a positive format. After everything that we've been through and everything that we've lost and everything that we suffer through. Both of us struggling against this whole big amount of people that all have someone behind them. My daughter, nonverbal, but can say yes or no. And they take advantage of that, and it's abuse. It is abuse to her abilities, her human rights, to what has happened to her, to what they don't disclose in the whole thing, misleading everything in the best interest of her life as well, as we take a look at all those facts. So we get a phone call, but it's not from the place where she's at. It's from, because we have different companies taking care of her, 3 different companies. We get a phone call from a different company, thinking we had the information or known about all this and asking us for details on this event and times and all this stuff because they need it for their notes. Wow. One way to do your notes on the event is turn around and ask the parents now. Now we are being alerted my daughter had a DSAT, needing oxygen. We listen to the information that she's giving us and the details that she's giving us and what she knows from her notes. And so when we're done, we call the company that has our daughter in their care on their property that says they're not responsible to cover the other nurses' breaks, even though my daughter's in their facility under their care as well, under their roof. So we get, oh, hi, Lisa and Hugo. How are you guys? I'm good. How's our daughter? No. Oh, she's fine. She's fine. She's really good. She's having a great day. She had a really good morning. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, we just have her on a 1 liter of oxygen, though. Oh. Oh, you too? Oh, what happened? Oh, she's just been sitting 94, 95, you know. Oh. Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Oh, but she's okay. Oh, yeah, she's been good all morning. Oh. Because that's not what we heard. Oh, she says. Yeah, we got a phone call from the other company. They needed details, times, apparently, for their notes on the event, and the fact that my daughter dropped to 88. And that, you know, the information that she had told us compared to the other information is very not the same. We're being told one person grabbed the bagger, another person turned on the oxygen, the other person turned on the oxygen from one party to the next. So we're being told that all these different things, and that, they came running in, and then all of a sudden they were doing rounds, and then they noticed that this was happening. And then before it was, they heard it, and they were just coming. And anyways, different stories. Fact is, we've also said, when our daughter has a DSAT or anything happens to our child, we would like to know, and we need to be informed for the best interest and the safety of her life, so that we can help guide you through things. So she's not going to sit on oxygen at 94 and 95, because we can tell you exactly why she's sitting like that and how we can get her off of that after a DSAT that she's had. Sorry, he's sometimes drinks water, coffee, and we're both a little bit stressed out. This was really stressful on our day when we're thinking, okay, we're going to go for a walk and maybe go to the river and just relax and just spend time quietly at the river, enjoying outside, put our phones down. This is what we've been working on. Spend more time with your families, enjoy and embrace what you've got, because I'm telling you, life is short. It's beautiful all at once, but it can be painful all at the same time, when you realize all of a sudden you've got these beautiful people in your life, and all of a sudden it's short. And I have this beautiful daughter that we want to give a quality of life to, because that's what I was given, this beautiful gift in life, and became this advocate for this life, and not just for her life, but for others as well, because it's not fair for what is happening to our care, to people's care, to seniors' care, to children's care, to foster care, medical foster care, the abuse to families, the abuse to the children, dragging people at least 5 years before people will get their kids back. Majority when they're stuck in this process. And it gets nasty. So you speak up because your child has the wrong suction machine, because they need a portable suction machine, which means it runs on a battery. So that means if you're going from point A to point B and there's nowhere to plug in that machine, and she's throwing a plug and you need to suction that trach and get her airway cleared out, that portable machine is that reason. It's a portable. So you can do the transfer safely, or safer, or have a better chance of safety. Backup plans are always a good thing too, carry an inverter with you or something. 15 years, we hardly ever see our daughter desat, and since they've been in her care, she's been dropping below 90 quite often, almost on a regular basis, because they don't know how to manage her secretion. They don't know how we've managed her care, how we do her chest physio. And everybody's just kind of doing their own thing, and then they start dropping the ball because mom and dad are not complaining. And it's wrong, because this is at the expense of someone's life, my child's life, my daughter, who is putting faith in our whole society of people. Because this is not just my problem or that group home's problem, because this is a big problem all over the place. And I can tell you that from working in the healthcare. I've worked in public and private group homes, and there's a lot of revamping that we could do. A lot we don't speak about. 10 years behind on policies that affect people's paychecks. And then all of a sudden when you realize that, the company decides to become nasty at you because they didn't update their policy. So they'll come after you over that. When you realize that you've gone through that and you've said, hey, you're outdated by 10 years only. And then a lot gets pocketed. A lot doesn't get talked about. We have people coming from other countries being told that they have to work this way and do things that way, and this is the way it's going to be. And in reality, it's going against their human rights, and they have no clue that this is happening. We've had an LPN who is now transferred to Calgary, managing the Calgary office. She came here as an HCA, did her LPN here in Canada. She comes crying one day in our house. We're like, what's wrong? She says, well, I went to them and I talked to them and I said, how come I'm working as an HCA, but I'm an LPN and I'm not being paid as an LPN? Oh, that's a problem. So you mean they're charging the LPN because my daughter's qualified LPN only, and paying you as an HCA still? They told me that if I say anything or I speak up, that they're going to put me in handcuffs and deport me back to my country. Ouch. So we have a big meeting. The owner of the company even showed up. Their dad never even gave him a chair. Said, this is how you treat your employees. You can stand. You don't need a chair. You're not a king around here. And it started, the meeting. After that meeting, they gave her incentives. She got a management position, climbed the ladder, manages the office in Calgary now that just opened up recently. You guys can look at the new private, I guess, what do you call them, nursing aid companies, and take a look for yourself at what just opened up in Calgary. And the letter starts with a J. Runs the company. Never spoke up for human rights. Our family did. Let our family go through the stress. Because we didn't want to see our staff come in the door being treated or mistreated. Because we've seen it more than once and on more than one occasion. Where they come in from being disgraced, harassed, even if they don't do their shifts, or if they're on their days off and they're saying, look, I am gone, I'm on my days off. Do not call me. They will keep calling them and calling them during their shift. It's harassment. And they will say, look, I'm done. I'm not taking this shift. Well, I'm going to call you as many times as I want. That's how the company talks to them. If I want to call you 20 times, I'm going to call you 20 times and you're going to answer. That's how they were talking. They would have them on speakerphone because they were like, nobody believes us. It's kind of the same thing of what we're going through now. I've had a mom write on my Facebook how she felt deemed by other social workers. And she's a social worker herself, actually, for children. 18 years of trauma, she wrote, but won't say anything. Will allow and continue other families to suffer the way we have suffered, lose everything, have their families torn apart. We have other parents who say they cannot leave their kids in trust of. And it's not just because they're short staffed. Yes, there's a lot of really great staff and there's a lot of good people that work really hard. But there's a lot of people that really make the job difficult when you start looking up at the director. I could go on forever. I could go on to why the opioid crisis will never end. Because we're not taking care of our seniors. We're not taking care of our people who are in need. And those people who are in need have no choice but to live the way that they need to live. The cycle just keeps going. So people will keep selling their pills because they need to eat. They need to live. And there's only being so much done to support people. The care, sorry buddy, we'll change you and it's okay, 9 o'clock. You got changed at 9, so we'll see you at 1 o'clock. So how about you hold your bladder from 9 till 1? Oh, sorry buddy, I'm busy. I'll see you at 3 instead. You're gonna have to wait a little bit longer. Oh, you had made a mess right now? Okay, well, we'll see you. It's 10 o'clock, so we'll see you at 1:30. So then you wonder why people get bed sores. The need for people to have help, even just somebody to come and sit and talk to them, or help sort a little bit of their apartment to 10 minutes a day, and just to come and say, okay, I'll help you. And even if I make you a coffee and we just do 10 minutes of this. And we are allowing things to fall because we're not there in support of, from the top of the chain throughout the bottom. And it just becomes a vicious cycle. We're not breaking a chain anywhere. We're not saying this is enough. I was supposed to get a phone call and I never did, for my daughter. Again, and this keeps repeatedly happening, and there's nothing that is being done about it. There is no action. There is no discipline. There is nothing. Just under the carpet, under the carpet, under the carpet. It's okay. And they keep doing it, and it's okay to them. And again, this is our child's life. This is my daughter's life. Every detail is important. They're not respecting their policies, but want to respect that I don't yell at them, that I don't get upset with them, that I don't get nasty. Why does my daughter drop to this extent? Disconnection, human error. Great, slap on the hand, under the carpet. Oh, we fractured her femur and we're going to treat it as a blood clot because there's blood coming out somewhere. And so we see blood, so we're treating that as blood clot. Oh, we read the x-rays wrong. I'm sorry. The blood was coming from her femur. It wasn't a blood clot at all. And she's got thinning blood disease. Let's treat her with a blood clot, guys. That didn't need to be treated, mistreated, because they did not look at the x-ray correctly the first time to see that the blood was coming from the fracture that was caused by them in their care, and the blood coming from that bone. I don't know. Sorry. It's hard because you have to stand by and watch these things happen to your child. Your son has died. And people see it, but never say anything. And you stand there and you have to watch, and you have to take this abuse continuously and continuously and continuously. Even with my mom's mental health or her addictions and things like that, no, they have to help themselves, but it's affecting your life. It's affecting the safety of others. But we cannot push forward to have our family members get that help because they have to help themselves, even though we have a law that says the safety of others. But we don't take that into consideration to get the people the help that we need in this world. I was 12 years old, 11 years old when we were taken out of our home. My parents both have addictions, drinking and gambling and smoking and fighting, and it was a rough night. My whole house surrounded. And my dad being pulled from one end to the other. They give your parents direction, but no guidance, no real help, no real support. So then 6 months later, after you've been through what you've been through in foster care and be told you'll never amount to anything in your life by your guardian. Sorry, your, what was it? My, what do they call it? Your godmother. When you ask why you have to do all of the dishes by yourself after a big family event at the cabin is there and everybody's sitting down and you and your sister always do things together. You get told you're never going to amount to anything in your life at 11 years old after everything you've just faced and been through and trying to absorb and make sense of at that age, and taken from your parents and your friends and everything, and have to start over in this place where you know what it's like to be bullied and not accepted and hate your clothes and your haircut, and you have no one to talk to, and your social workers are supposed to be there to support you. Kids. But it affects you as an adult because your parents don't get the help. You get stuck in the cesspool still. You watch them struggle through their fights, their addictions, because nobody really makes the effort to say, like, look, we have this program or that program. I want to make this a success so that we're not making Boyle Street a progress continuously. Kids aren't going to be locked in the cars in casino parking lots or bar parking lots, VLTs, or where they need to shoot up 3 a.m., leaving their kids out on the street on White Ave. I've known people that have done that. Taken in some myself. Only because of the kids, not because of them. You're a piece of shit to leave your parent, and pardon my language, to leave your kid on a sidewalk at 3 a.m. outside a bar. Or even in a parking lot. In a car that's cold, tired, you're hungry, you're wanting to go home. I worked in a casino, and you see that happen. And I have reported kids in a parked car in a parking lot because the parents have been there for a long time, and you sit outside and you wait for the parents to come back, and it's hours. So not even an hour. You don't wait an hour, trust me. But you just kind of start to know, and security will start taking care of it and watch it and things like that. But we're not realizing that there's a big problem that we have created, and we keep creating and keep producing. And we're not producing enough stabilization of our programs, of what they're supposed to be about. Trust. How do you trust somebody with your child's life if they can't even tell you the truth? The facts. Be honest. Own up to their action. Hide it at any cost, regardless the child's life. It's not my family member. I just got to cover my ass, my license. I can't say that I messed up and maybe I need more direction or learning, or can't be honest. So that when the family member does speak up, and then they speak up again, and then they speak up again, and we keep repeating the same errors, it's okay, because I've been able to do this over and over and nobody's done anything. The parents are just nasty. See, they yelled at me. Yeah, I yelled. I said, how can I trust you with my child? And to tell me the truth about what's happening with my child's life and what she's truly going through, or what she's been through in the day. It's not easy being a medical parent, and when you have to accept the diagnosis and make decisions, they're not always easy decisions to make as a medical parent. You have a lot to do and a lot to bulldoze, and you don't have a whole lot of support behind you to say, this is what we're going to do to get through this. You don't have a big team all the time, because that big team needs to make sure that these things don't get disclosed out in public. These human errors, the negligence, the abuse of what happens to staff from other countries, the abuse that happens to staff in general. So the first private facility I worked in, my first supervisor, the first supervisor of that facility, Manwire Delac, was told she would lose her license and that she got shifted out of the facility. If anybody ever checked the notes, they would see that she got shifted out during the time we brought up a whole bunch of things that were going against the human rights and the way that people were handling people and the training and all that kind of stuff. And that's the biggest problem. People will not speak up because they're afraid they're going to lose their license. They're going to lose their job. And yet we're risking lives at the same time. More trauma, more mental health, and creating a bigger dynamic in another place. Because when you have one family member there's usually people attached to them. That's why we call them family. Your daughter, a sister, mother. This isn't only happening with my child. This is happening with other families, medical families. Heart and cancer have a higher prestige of their care, of their outlook, because of the donations and the recognition and the need for it. When you go into genetics, respiratory, it's a whole different ball game. You're literally fending for yourself as a parent. First fracture my daughter had was a buccal fracture and 2 split fractures in her femur. Walk in at 8 in the morning. Ask, what's wrong with my daughter? Nothing's wrong with your daughter. The nurse shoots up and glares at me and is like, nothing wrong with your daughter, and leaves the room. And I'm looking at my, you know, and I'm looking over everything, and I'm looking over my daughter head to toe. And I know something's wrong. She's crying. Heart rate's 145. And they have these charge nurses come into the room and, oh, you're making your daughter upset. Okay. And my hands are full with bags. Looking at them, I have my coat on still. And I'm like, I'm not making my daughter upset. Something's wrong. And they wouldn't listen to me. And I started checking her while they're all discussing, call her dad, get her dad to come from work, and start telling her dad how crazy I am. And they're all going on. And 7 o'clock, shift change, another one comes on, and she tells me she believes me. She calls the doctor. She says, go home and I'll call the doctor. All the other ones are their dad, and everybody's out in the hallway arguing about me while this nurse is listening to me. Just this one. So I go home. On the way home, we get in a fight in 2 hours. I think it took me to walk home or something. And anyway, it was 10:24 at night. And we get a phone call. And they're like, she has a buckle fracture and 2 split fractures above the knee. So from what I'm aware of, from the time that I arrived to the time that I left for 14 hours, my daughter had a buckle fracture in her femur and 2 split fractures that people left untreated. That was created in the facility itself. That happened in the facility and ignored in the facility and untreated for 14 hours of my awareness. That's not including the time frame before when she was crying. Nobody taking responsibility for the action. When they lost an HIV needle beside my daughter, they weren't sure where it went between them. There was a baby with HIV and my daughter side by side in PICU. And I noticed commotion, and anyways, my daughter had to get tested 90 days later. And they told me that an RT splashed themselves in the eye that day, and that's why they were doing the test. And I said, so then we brought it up and I showed them my blood work, and it was like, if, like, here's my blood work for my pregnancy. She has anything. You guys are going to have a lot to answer. It was a nightmare. It's been a nightmare. And when we speak up about it, it's just shut down and swept under the carpet. It's not acknowledged. It's not talked about. It's not in the best interest of our child at all whatsoever. Just like when we call and they couldn't have even told us the details or the facts of what happened to our child and even been truthful. It was just lying to us right from the beginning of the phone call conversation. So how am I supposed to be able to trust these people with my daughter's life or ensure that my daughter's life is okay if they can't even give me the truthful facts of what's actually happened with my child from the beginning, and I have to hear it from another company and then the 2 stories, you know what I mean? And nothing's going to be done about it. I guarantee it. It just gets swept under the carpet. Mom and Dad were yelling. Mom and Dad called the nurse a name. Yeah, at the end, her dad said, you know what, you can put this in your notes and tell the workers that I have called you a liar. And then he went on to call her some names. Because that's all you're doing is lying, he said. And I don't like liars. Not going to tell him that part. But she's going to say Mom and Dad were yelling at me and nasty and blah, blah, blah. I never got a phone call this morning, though. Like I'm supposed to. Like I've been guaranteed that will happen. The truth of what happened to my daughter from the very place that's actually taking care of her. And being told that it's not their responsibility when the other staff comes in to take care of any of the breaks while she's under their roof. So when these nurses do take their breaks, they say, oh, she's okay. She'll be fine for 15 minutes. And I've asked my child, have you been being left alone? And has this been happening? This is why I'm starting to know this. And I've also had another nurse confirm that when she went for a break, nobody covered her break, and my daughter was left alone for 15 minutes, and she was scared crapless. 2 different people saying the same thing. And I've sent emails on this. Negligence in medical care. Abandonment. now hiding facts from the parents, even. How do we start building a trust if we cannot trust those in all honesty? This is why I've always had family members with my daughter 24/7, because of what gets hidden and swept under the carpet, because she wouldn't be alive to this day, because they would just swipe it under the carpet. Oh, she just had a DStat, that's all, and due to her medical. I'm curious to see how many medical children's files, if you were actually to take a look at them, the ones that passed away died from actual medical negligence of care that has been neglected to be acknowledged, because I can tell you there's a lot that's been neglected to be acknowledged right now and misleading what is happening that is supposed to be on a balanced scale. That scale is broken, it's tipped. I'm telling you, the chain's broke to one side, and nobody has tried to fix the scale yet. Instead, we just keep having more mental health, supporting pharmacies, and just keep going on. And these are the things that we don't disclose. So as medical parents, it becomes stressful. You become tired, you become exhausted, you can become lost in the trust. And so anyways, I'm going to say, like, right now, this is something that we have dealt with. In the meantime, we do our best to focus on positives, so we do throw a lot of positive shorts out there. So thank you for supporting us on those and our channel, and thank you for being there right now with our family as we travel through the realism of this. I'm just one family on this experience, and it's been, I can't say we always have bad experiences. We have great experiences as a family, as from what we've learned, but we're tired from what we have to deal with and the lack of the support of where our public of people are being misinformed of the supported programs out there, where our taxpayer dollars are really going right now. Because there's a lot of educated people out there that don't even know how to direct you into the right programs. I don't know how to help you. I don't know how to help you. Oh, we've done everything we can. Yet there's a big binder full of Canadian programs. And a lot of people who don't know how to help you when you lose your home, which direction to go into, how to get into housing available for over a year, and you're 8 months on the street. And you move into this apartment that they said, oh, this has been available for almost 2 years now. Oh, and I've been 8 months on the street trying to put my family back together. And you guys have all known about this, and all we had to do was go to the office. And there's a lot of things that the people don't tell you. Work on how to make it work, on how to get there. And when you really are striving to really need the help, our programs are 5 phone calls, 2 more. Sorry, this isn't available. Sorry, I don't know how to help you in this. Sorry. Gotta call this number and that number. And people get exhausted, and then they just don't care anymore, spending all day on the phone trying to. Why not set up the Coliseum in Edmonton here? I don't know, put in a medical military office with social workers and everybody who work together, who can medically assist those, because you can start seeing on the street that the new drug, I think, that's happening is starting to cause people to go violent, because I'm seeing more and more people carrying bars in their hands, and they're like high strung and hitting cars or people. And I think I've seen about 3 or 4 of them like this now, just recently. Over the time, it's been more increasing that they've been, like, you know, carrying a bar or stainless steel baseball bat, and hitting vehicles and raging and yelling at people, becoming more of a problem. And we're not fixing those problems. Low-income housing, people complain about it. Middle class. and go move into low-income housing to get an opportunity, while other people are complaining about what's being brought around here. But there's people that are trying to survive and trying to eat and trying to feed themselves that are barely have a whole month. They get some get $545 for a whole month to live off of. $545. That's what I had for a while. Try to throw me into a workplace right now. My mentality from the complex PTSD, anxiety, MMD, depression, from many of the things that I've been through, while I try to fend for myself through programs and supports and trying to find the right things that can help me, or can I get through this? Will it help me? Go to therapy and you see security throwing another man on the street, on the sidewalk, right on his ass. Kind of looked like Beetlejuice a little bit. His hair all over the place. And he's on the sidewalk, his eyes are red rimmed, and he's bawling. Maybe he wants drugs, yes, but that man clearly was so drug addicted in his mentality, and you could see he needed mental health help. And they threw him on the street. I sat there in the parking lot across the street, looking at the man on the sidewalk, calling my therapist, saying, how can I go into that building and know that I'm going to have success if that's the way we're treating people right now? That's the one question I asked. The other is not recognizing the abuse of authority, the abuse of power, especially when you're dragging families 5 years through courts. Misleading facts, hiding facts, even from the parents. And I'm one individual that has to sit there and take it every day, go and see this with my daughter every day. I have to go there and act like Martha Stewart, like I was told. Betty Crocker, whatever they want me to be, in order to get my children back. But yet they can abuse my child, and that makes them above the law. They can abuse the facts. And I'm just tired of sitting there alone, recognizing it and being like, these are people's lives. So when your mom or grandmother or some grandfather go into a nursing home, how often do people go see them? So are you truly seeing what's going on in those homes, in that care of your loved one, in that care of your child? Do you really know what kind of care your family member is receiving today? Have you been around enough to see? Have you acknowledged what they are going through on a daily basis in the trust of? It's not that we're just shorthanded in our society. I've worn my scrubs. I've worked shorthanded. And yes, I can say there are times it's short. Worked until my body would vibrate of exhaustion. I also worked as a medical mom, 24 hours a day, where I've kept my staff going, kept my daughter's saturations from dropping all the time, give my daughter a quality of life the best that I can, to the best of my abilities, what I am capable of. We lost her disability van. A child passed away in her room. The social places wouldn't give us a taxi from where we were to be able to get to her, as my daughter was in distress, and we lost her disability van because it wasn't registered and he didn't have a license, and we couldn't get, we were trying to get to her, and we made the decision to take the van. And I raised, we went through Now Radio for that, and we went through like different foundations like Superstore and everything, and we worked hard for that. So we've had a lot of loss and a lot of sacrifices from this point. And at this point, when you ask for so much trust, have faith in us as parents, trust us, call us, let us know. We've been a part of this child's life for 15 years. We know we're inside and out. We've been able to prove that. And we're not even being told the truth of what's happening to our child or what's happened in her care. How do you have faith in that? And where do you go to from this point forward when you've gone to all the resources you can go to and say this isn't right? Anyways, guys, I'm going to start signing it out. Thanks for staying tuned with us. And like I said, we're peaceful, we're rageful. I mean, you'll see a bit of everything. As per the arrest on our shorts there from Hugo, he has been telling them for a very long time, all the lawyers, the social workers, everybody, that he's going to get arrested if nobody starts telling the truth about the stories that are happening right now. And he's going to make sure that he goes and gets presented in front of a different judge to explain his behaviors and his actions, because the truth isn't being told. So he figures he can get himself arrested. What he did is walked across the train tracks, which is illegal in Alberta, here in Edmonton anyways. You cannot walk across the train tracks. You will get a ticket. But he walked across the train tracks, walked up to a homeless man that was under arrest, who was begging for water under the hot heat, gave the man water, walked back across the tracks, grabbed his bag, went off the platform away from people onto the grass, so it was more civil. And from there, it was just what it was. So we both have a court date in October. As I got obstruction because they started accusing me of having his wallet, and I was like, what the heck? I don't have the guy's wallet. He doesn't have his wallet. I didn't have his wallet. And just turn around, you have his wallet, and just starts making an accusation. And anyways, my PTSD and temper was like, screw you, buddy. It's in the bag. I went to go grab a bag. Anyways, the fight was on that. So I was like, oh yeah, it's in the bag. And I went to grab the bag and be like, and the water, and I needed my prescription. And anyways, but it was just crazy because I get blood pressures and stuff from, I have to watch that. So anyways, he has his court date. He has his court appearance from that event. Also, again, it goes to show the power of authority. When somebody makes an accusation and targets you directly in a power of authority and makes the situation escalate. I do have it on video surveillance where an officer keeps going on to escalate the situation and progress it to make the guy snap, to make Hugo snap. And I had to point out to another officer, I said, do not engage is what you were taught, but you keep engaging, escalating the behavior because that's what you want. You're pushing for it. And it's right here on video. I showed the officer clearly. And finally, the other officer stopped and everything stopped. And Hugo kept telling him, just write the ticket. I don't want you to talk to me. Just write the ticket. I don't want you to talk to me. I don't want to hear anything else. Just write the ticket. And the officer kept going. So, again, some food for thought. Thank you guys for watching. Everything is one step at a time. Literally, one step at a time. One day at a time. And I always believe the phrase, this too shall pass. Christopher Reeve's quote, I think there may be a little voice, a voice inside us. Maybe God, I don't know. I love that quote. Again, one step at a time. And we shouldn't be afraid to make a change or speak out. And we shouldn't be belittled when we do or feel belittled as any medical parent or person. Anyways, we'll start working on our videos a little bit more, work on some of the positives that we do like to enjoy that keep our mentality balanced. Nature is one of them. And as me and Hugo keep working on ourselves so that we can be in that really great place for our kids and our family through all of what we're going through. And then when you take these stressors into factor, it is hard because Hugo doesn't like to see me upset and crying and my day ruined over just something as much as a lack of trust in someone like this. So then he becomes a drill sergeant. And since our son passed away, it's what I was told, is that he went into drill sergeant mode ever since our son passed away. And we lost him on Father's Day in 2010. So every day is progress and work. And when you are lacking that little bit of trust in that spot there, and you keep asking for the work to progress so that we can actually not be in a place where it's going to be putting me in a lack of trust and worry and scare for my child, lack of trust for my child, lack of trust within the company. We need to change that, because it's not fair to me, and it's not fair to my daughter, it's not fair to her father when we are trying to have faith in people. So again, one step at a time, and thank you for watching, guys.